Tyler, welcome to the Awesome Dad Show. How are you?
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I didn't. So what's up with this dad show? What's the main thing with this whole get up you got going on over here?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you asked. The Awesome Dad Show is all about highlighting fathers like you that can help inspire the next generation of dads to step up and create a better world, right? And that's what it's all about.
Man, I love that. I love that because I don't really see a lot of that. So I'm kind of excited. All these new I'm not really a big podcast listener, but I just think it's awesome that I'm starting to see a lot of dad groups out there. We're starting to spread like wildfire, and it's awesome. I'm like, man, this is good because I feel like us dads we don't get a lot of podiums to speak sometimes, so it's nice to be able to have this opportunity.
I think it's incredibly, incredibly important. The more dads that we can have stepping up, being a more active role in the parenting process, I think the better. And that's why I'm really excited to have you on the show, Tyler, because you've got, I think, an amazing story. There's a lot of reality TV stars, if you would, out there. But one of the things that's really impressed me about you, Tyler, over the years is you've been really stable, surprisingly stable for someone on
Well, I mean, I
television.
don't know if this is stable. It's been a while. It's been a wild ride. We've been on this TV show for the last 11 years, so it's just crazy. It wasn't really anything that we kind of planned on happening, but I always feel really blessed and honored to just be able to actually have a platform just to be able to speak and share my story with people. And it still amazes me to this day that people they write daily and talk about how it's inspirational, and it's like it's just crazy. It's very surreal to be involved in this kind of just crazy like cultural phenomenon thing that ended up happening out of nowhere. So it's I feel blessed and honored for the platform it's given me. As far as our story goes, we've covered a lot of topics as far as addiction goes and mental health, and I think it's really great because, as you know, Teen Mom is kind of done through Catelyn's perspective mostly. I mean, yeah, I'm on there, but that's why it's really cool to do these kind of side things and hook up with you on this dad podcast, because now it's something that there's not like a teen dad show out there, so but it's really, really cool. It's been a wild ride, I'll tell you that. But I
Yeah.
appreciate you, I appreciate what you said about, seeming stable, because some days you don't feel too stable, but you just kind of keep going with it.
Yeah, look, I'm definitely with you there. I feel like Hollywood has this vision of marriage and relationships where you get together, you have that fairy tale ending, and you just ride off into the sunset. But in my experience with my wife, we've been together over 10 years. It's not always hunky dory. There are ups and downs. There are ups and
Oh,
downs
no.
for sure.
Yeah.
I wanted
Yeah,
to kind of,
I kind of think that's the beauty of it, though. I mean, riding off in the sunset. I mean, gosh, man, that'll get pretty boring pretty quick. You need a lot of lows to experience and appreciate the highs.
yeah, I 100%. And I think that's something that
Yeah.
can frequently be lost. I think that in order to really be happy and satisfied, it's about tackling these difficult problems and learning and improving and becoming better and helping others around you rise up.
Yeah, I mean, I think the basic goal, right, is to just continuously be evolving. I always tell everyone that, I never want to be satisfied. I always want to stay hungry. And I think that's important in life is to appreciate the blessings you have and be present, but also, just constantly be evolving as much as you can. I mean, you only get one of these lives, so you got to take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to lean into that a little bit, Tyler. So last season on the show, you and Catelynn made the difficult decision to say, hey, we've got to take a step away. We've got to separate for a little while, right? You didn't say, hey, this isn't
Right.
it. And that's not something that I typically see. It's typically, I'm not happy. I'm going to go in it. We're just going to split our lives in two right now. Was it difficult for you to make the decision and to communicate to Catelynn that, hey, I think we need to separate, get away from each other for a little while so that it can strengthen us? Was it hard for you to bring that up with her?
I mean, honestly, it was super hard for me. I mean, me and Catelynn have been going to therapy for a while as far as individual therapy goes with our upbringing and stuff. So communication's always been super important to us, and we've always made it kind of a priority. But still, it never gets easy to tell someone, especially your significant other, something that is going to hurt them and they're not going to really like, but it's something that needs to be done. So it was really difficult for me to kind of get the courage to say it in the right way. And my job, at least from my opinion, like my job as a husband was to approach her in a safe way where she felt safe enough to receive the information that I have to, give her, which is going to be tough. So I had to make sure the way I spoke and kind of the way I had to really think hard about how I wanted to bring it up and, how I wanted to explain it to her and how it needed to be done. So we went to a couple's retreat down in Arizona, a really nice spiritual kind of retreat we did for a weekend. And it was really enlightening. I felt like it was a safe space to kind of tell her what needed to be done. And she took it, obviously not really great at first, but after a while, she started to realize the benefits of kind of the, what my goal was really, I said, the goal is to separate temporarily so we can come back together stronger for eternity. Like that's what the goal is. It's not to separate and stay separated. It's to kind of get away from each other to help identify our personal goals, aspirations, things that we, want to see in the future for ourselves and things that may have gotten lost in the midst of, trying to build families and marriages and keep it going. So I just felt like it was something that needed to be done personally for me. And I didn't really know if that's what she wanted to do, but I had to kind of jump off the ledge a little bit and just, sometimes you have to think about yourself in order to get better. You have to think about yourself sometimes, which is hard for me to do. I always put everyone ahead of me. So, to kind of really do a lot of self-reflection and kind of get in tune with what I needed. It was difficult, but it was necessary.
I think that's actually incredibly wise because as fathers, and not mothers as well, but I think it's really easy to get so caught up in taking care of everyone else that you kind of tell yourself like, this is as good as it gets. This is what I deserve. But the reality is,
you also kind of, you feel a sense of responsibility as well too. Like, all right, suck it up. You're the husband. You're the kind of the rock of this family. You don't have time to be weak. You don't got time to, self-reflect. You don't have time to think about yourself. It's easy, I think, for us as guys to do that. But it's so vital because if a lot of guys out there would just listen to themselves and kind of just be honest with themselves and their wives, like I think it would result in a lot less divorces and a lot less separation because, you can get lost taking care of everyone else. And you can get lost and not take care of yourself. And you can get, once you get so far lost, you don't know where to go. And then that's when, I feel like chaos starts. So I knew it was something important that I needed to do and kind of speak out loud and kind of take the helm and, get it going. So it was hard, but it was, like I said, it was necessary. It had to happen.
I think that's very, very important. And like you said, a lot of people aren't going through that process. And I really love, Tyler, how you and your family are very open about going to therapy and these couples retreats, because that is kind of gotten this stigma of being a bad word. Like, ooh, they're going to therapy. Like things are
yeah,
wrong.
Right. It's crazy. I don't know why it has that stigma either, because it's like if someone was, let's just say someone had this goal of wanting to be healthier and they went to, get on this new diet plan or whatever. Like you go to take care, or you go and you take a medicine, you get sick, you go take a medicine, you do a remedy to combat that illness. Like, I don't understand why therapy looks so, I mean, it's really, in my opinion, it's highly respectable because you're willing to let go of your pride to, better yourself, which I think people don't understand that when people go to therapy, let alone talk about it and admit to other people they're going to therapy, they are being so vulnerable and letting like the people know that like I had to sacrifice. I need help. I cannot do this on my own. I do not have the capacity. I don't have the tools necessary to do this on my own. And it's kind of a hard, vulnerable thing to kind of put out there. Especially when you got cameras following you around and on national television, but let alone just by yourself, it's I don't know why therapy has such a shameful stigma by it, but I hope by sharing our story and stuff that it gets kind of that out of there, because if it wasn't for therapy, me and Catelynn, there's no way we would be where we are in our lives. I mean, there's just no way. I mean, it taught us so much, especially about communication and how different it is between men and women and how we communicate and stuff. It helps tremendously. I can't preach about therapy enough to people out there. And if you're thinking about going, you think you need it, just do it. it can't hurt, right? Going to someone and talking, it just can't hurt. There's no damage that could be done possibly by going to therapy. So just do it, you know?
Yeah, I'm completely with you. I know when my wife and I, even before we got married, we went to premarital counseling. And when I would tell people that, they would look at me sideways. And I'm like, marriage is tough. You're looking at 50, 60,
Yeah.
70, 80 years together. Like, it's good to have that kind of backbone and that resource to lean back on. I want to ask you a question, Tyler, something that happened in this season here in 2020. What was going through your head when you come out of the bungalow on your vacation with Catelynn? She put the blinders on you and put you in that golf cart. What was going through your head when that happened?
I was like, what the hell is going on? I was freaking out. I was like, because I'm thinking we're going to do maybe some picnic by the water, or she's going to take me to some bungee jumping shot swing across the canyon or something crazy. I don't know, like some kind of crazy surprise. I had no idea it was a recommitment kind of ceremony. And I think people get confused because it wasn't a vow renewal. We didn't renew our vows, or else we would have, said our original vows and it would have been a thing. It was more of like a really more spiritual kind of Hawaiian recommitment ceremony that we kind of decided to do, whatever. But I was blown away. I was like, what? This is crazy. Because usually, to be honest, I'm the one sent on the vacations. I'm usually doing the surprises and all this kind of stuff for her and stuff. So it was kind of it was different. I wasn't expecting it. I'm kind of a freak, so I hate not being in control about stuff like that. I'm like, I got these blindfolds on. I'm like, where am I going? What's going on? I'm trying to pick up on little, smells and sounds, and it was crazy. But once I realized what was going on, I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing. We had a tough year last year, so it was kind of a perfect little button, and kind of kind of close the chapter on that side and kind of get going to more positive stuff. So I was really surprised, but I loved it. It was awesome.
I think that's really cool that Catelynn was at least in tune enough with where you were at and where your relationship was at, that she said, hey, this is a good idea. This is something that will be well received and help strengthen that bond, because it's just, life is a roller coaster. So being in tune to where you're at.
She's changed a lot as far as the last, couple of years ago. She's gotten on the right medication, and her mental health is, it's just gotten way better. And so she's in a lot better spot where I think she has she has the emotional capacity now to focus and be more in tune with me. And, now that she kind of has some other things that she's kind of like completed with her own mental health, she can kind of focus on different aspects of the dynamic that we have in this whole household and this family. So it's amazing to see her recovery and see kind of her continuing to grow. It's great. It's awesome.
I love that. It's, another thing that happened on this season that I was curious about, because I think this impacts millions and millions of families across the states, is prescription drugs, right? And I think that there's an important place for them. But one of the things that happened on this season was Catelynn visited her doctor, and her doctor said, hey, look, this particular prescription you're on is very difficult to get off of. There can be physical withdrawals and so on and so forth. And when she mentioned to you, based on your history, what was your feeling towards that? You were like, hey, we need to get off these prescriptions completely, or what was going through your head when she told you that?
Well, see, me and Catelynn, I think we kind of have a difference, and we've accepted the fact that we have a different kind of viewpoint when it comes to this medication. My viewpoint really is that if it works for you, awesome. Like, if it works for you and there's no negative side effects and you don't notice any mood shifts and anything negative happening, like hallelujah, thank God it works for you. Me, on the other hand, I just get so freaked out about, personally, myself. I just feel like if I have to withdraw from something, I don't want to be dependent on anything. I think that just comes, it's like my own boundary that I've had to make as far as my family history goes with addiction. And anything that I have to withdraw from, I feel like my body's dependent on it, and it scares me to even go down that road, So for me, I do a lot of different natural stuff to try to help and combat my depression, anxiety, et cetera, whatever. But, I also didn't have the same thing that Catelynn had. And when Catelynn has anxiety, she responds to it way different than I do. So I have to we have to accept that other people have their own way of like getting healthy and getting better. And it might not be the same way you do it, but as long as it works, then it's great, But yeah, I mean, I guess my whole thing about the whole prescription aspect was, you know, if there's a possibility, do you want to get off of it? Was my main thing with Kate. Like, if you want to get off of it, that's a goal. I think you should talk to your doctor, bring it up to them and say, hey, listen, you know, I don't know if you know this, doc, but I don't really want to be on this forever for the rest of my life. Is this possible? And if that is possible, how do we go about doing this? And so, you know, when I asked her, she responded to, yeah, you know, I don't want to be on it forever. So I said, hey, explore that option. I didn't say, you know, get off of it or you should get off of it or whatever, because honestly, the progression that she's made with her mental health, I'm like, listen, you just keep doing whatever you're doing because it's working. So, you know, but I noticed as she gets better and better, she kind of would mention it here and there about, you know, well, you know, I'd like to get off eventually and this kind of stuff. And so, you know, yeah. I think anything to do with medication, you need to have a doctor. You don't make any rash decisions on your own, because we're not, you know, they're the professional. The doctor will be able to to handle that kind of stuff better than we would be. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy because we actually do have a pretty different outlook and opinion on the medication and stuff, but it doesn't really affect the way we go about dealing with our own mental health. And that's the beautiful thing about kind of the separation thing was also part of that. Like, you know, we need to find individual path that we feel good about, you know, being on our own, and then so we when we combine together, it just, you know, it makes everything bigger and better. So yeah, it's just, you know, marriage is crazy, man. You gotta balance this stuff out with the differences, and you know, how I do things is not the same way you would do it. It's just crazy. It's a wild ride, isn't it?
Yeah, you ain't kidding. And I don't know if you realize this, Tyler, but what you just said there is actually incredibly profound and wise. This has come up several times on the Awesome Dad Show, in that you might not always see eye to eye on handling mental health or handling grief. That's something that's come up in interviews with, I mean, I'm talking about men who have been married for decades. They've got kids in college and whatnot.
Yeah.
But you have to, I think, respect and communicate with your partner and with physicians and experts to try to navigate that. That's something that most people in their 20s don't understand that. And I think that's incredibly profound and possibly one of the reasons why your marriage has survived. This, you know, is surviving, right?
I mean, yeah, listen, my whole thing is that, like, I put in 100% and she puts in 100%. We don't do this 50-50 thing. It's like, listen, you know, I bring 100 to the table, you bring 100 to the table, and that's it. That's the way this works. So, like, I think the main thing is communication. I think the problem is that women kind of naturally sometimes expect us to read their minds, and we can't. And then men go, oh, well, I don't want to say this the wrong way because she might think I'm being this. You know, it's like, but communicate. Find a way to, like, communicate authentically without purposely trying to hurt her feelings or anything like that. Like, that's really the main key, and that's what me and Catelynn have kind of built on we don't fight about anything because we communicate before it even gets to the elevated state of emotion. You know, like, we don't, we just speak it. And if we feel it, we speak it. And that's just the way it is. Like, me and Catelynn have a really good rule and kind of, like, foundation as far as, like, I'm not afraid to hurt your feelings and you're not afraid to hurt mine. Let's just say what we need to say. And if we do hurt each other's feelings, we can apologize and understand that, like, and believe in our love so much for each other that apology is authentic and move on. You know, that's the way it works. Like, you just got to, we have one voice. We only get one life. You got to speak it, and you don't want to waste it. So you got to just speak up and communicate, you know, effectively, or else, you know, it's just doomed, I feel like.
Very profound, very wise words, Tyler. I'm with you 100%. I want to ask you another question, something that came up in this season. So to preface this, a lot of what you see online, especially right now where everyone's cooped up in their homes due to this COVID-19 outbreak, is dads complaining about their kids or how their life is not as good now as it was before kids. But you and Catelynn, you've got several children already, 3 kids already, and you're talking about potentially having another one.
Oh yeah.
Why is it so important to you? Why is it important to you to have another kid? What's kind of pushed you and Catelynn to make that decision that, hey, we want to talk about having another?
I think it comes down to, like, I mean, me and Catelynn have always talked ever since we, you know, met each other when we were really, like, young kids, that we always wanted, first off, we always knew we wanted to be parents regardless. But and we never really talked about a specific number of kids, which is weird. I know most people do that, like, oh, I want like 4, I want 3, I want 2. We just kind of decided that we're just gonna, like, go with the flow. And then like, okay, we have one, this feels good. I want, just kind of communicate as far as be open with each other, is that when you want another one. And I think after the second one comes and you're just like, okay, this is the new chaos of my life and this is great. So what's adding another one in? Like, let's just go for it. We're already crazy. Toys are already all over the house. Like we're already going crazy, pulling our hair out. Let's just do this thing and have these beautiful children and like embrace this beautiful chaos that is our life. Like whatever. I don't really, I guess part of me gets like, when you talked about kids, dads being like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like now that I have kids and stuff, I think there is an aspect of you that loses kind of like, oh man, I can't just like go to the bar. I can't just like go get in the car and go, get a six. Like there's things you can't just get up and do. But I feel like it's just a whole new sense of like what life is all about, I guess. Like after I had kids, I don't know, naturally, organically for me, I just dove right in and I loved it. And I just like, this is so amazing. Like everything's amazing to me about it. Like the fact that she's carrying my kids, she birthed these, like now they're here and now you have to mold this little human being, like, so they're not crazy and psycho and like actually good people. And it's like, I don't know. I love it. I mean, yeah, of course we all get annoyed of our kids, but at the same time, it's like, I get annoyed of a lot of things that I love. So, it's just part of life and it's a beautiful, chaotic, just thing. I love it. But hey.
It's a great perspective to have, Tyler. I think it's more of that mindset shift. You want to look at things in a positive light rather than focusing on the negative. Focus on what you can control. I think that's a smart thing. To kind of expand on that a little bit, Tyler, obviously you're a public figure, right? And you're on a very popular television show, and a lot of people are going to be talking about you for years to come. Not just fans, but other people that are on the show. Do you ever have concerns about your kids when they get on social media that they're going to have to deal with problems from being in the national spotlight? Do you ever think about that?
Actually, me and Catelynn, we think about it all the time. Like it's kind of a constant thing that runs through our brain, that like every time that they call us and they want to do another season, we look at each other, we sit down, we talk about it. Okay, what are the benefits of this? What are the negative things of this? Like, our kids are getting older. What age are we going to be like restricting filming and things like that? And we kind of come up with our own little like, what feels good for us. And I feel like at that point it comes down to like, obviously on school nights, the crew's got to be out of here by 8 p.m. Like no later, stuff like certain boundaries that we make separate from our job, our really weird job of being on TV and filming our life. But there are certain things that the kids come first with, which is like scheduling and stuff like that. And then I think when they get on social media, like we've already explained to them, like, as far as getting compensated for the show, like these kids, my kids are totally set for life. They're great. Like they college is paid for, and that was kind of mine and Caitlynn's main thing, was each of our children have trust funds that their money goes into that they can't touch. And so I mean, worrying about their kind of getting online and maybe getting some haters and stuff like that, I think I have so much I guess I have so much confidence and peace that like the way I'm raising my children, that they're going to be humble and they're going to know the sacrifices that their parents made to be on TV and expose all these things, and then give them the option. Like we're already asking, no, but do you want to film today? Do you want cameras in your room? You know what I mean? Give her the option, the freedom to determine like, no, I don't want to do this today, or I do. And I think that's super important, because at the end of the day, my kids were born into this. They didn't really get to choose to be on TV or not. Me and Catelynn did that as parents, and that's what we do. So I feel like it's important to give them a little bit of that freedom to decide if they want to be filmed or not. And then explain to them kind of like as they get older, like our plan with Nova is to keep telling her actually every single year, hey, they're going to come here again. Kids at school, they might know who you are. And just kind of explain to them as they get older, as long as the show goes on at their age level, like that's really all we can really do. And if it comes to the point where our children are coming to us and saying, listen, like we're getting bullied, like, or we wish you guys wouldn't do the show anymore, it's done. I mean, it's very simple, because I'm not going to sacrifice their life, their well-being in life and growing up in a normal, childhood that as possible, just so we can continue to do this show. So I mean, that's why me and Caitlin, though, we still live in the same county that we grew up in Michigan. We live on a 15-acre. We live on a farm. Like, we live in the middle of nowhere. We don't like live outside of our means. We're not like buying big, so I try to, Nova's got jobs of collecting eggs from the chickens in the morning. We try to just keep it, you know what I mean? Try to just keep it as humble and simple as possible, and also try to keep our TV life as separate as we can, realistically, from the kids, and try to help, hopefully they have a normal upbringing, even though I know it's not going to be normal, because I don't know what I would think if I was raised and my parents were on TV, like, how embarrassing, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, I think that I appreciate that. It's a very thoughtful answer. And I think, frankly, whether you're a celebrity or you're a regular person, this is the type of thing you need to be thinking about, is how is social media and TV going to impact our kids. Tyler, before
I'll
get
be monitoring my kids. I don't play around. You ain't getting no electronic. Ain't nothing going around in this house without me scurrying through every single little message and seeing what's going on. I don't care.
Sure. And there's some great apps. I know Bark is an app. I've met with some of the reps from Bark, and I think it's something you have to be thinking about. Yeah. So
send me those links to those apps so I know.
Yeah.
As my kid gets older, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, heck, by that time we're out 5G, and you'll be walking outside, and the fire hydrant will be your phone.
Yeah.
Crazy. Tyler, before we get into the world famous Act-A-Dad rapid fire, where can everyone find you at? Where can everyone find Tyler at?
Well, on Instagram, it's at Tyler Baltierra MTV, I think. No, at Tyler Baltierra normal on Instagram, at Tyler Baltierra on Twitter, and then Catelynn and Tyler's official fan page is on Facebook. Everything's, nowadays, everything's got a little blue check mark, make sure it's real.
I'll have a bunch of links below. I love your website for your clothing line for kids. It's really well done. Tiara Rain. It looks really nice.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
A lot of work into that thing. Woo.
Yeah, it looks great. The newsletter is great. Just really, really love what y'all are doing there. Tyler,
that's all. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course. Tyler, rapid fire. What's your favorite story to tell your kids?
My favorite story, like the bedtime story?
Sure.
Well, right now my kid loves the Hungry Caterpillar, so we've been reading that for like 2 years straight right now.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic. My daughters love that too. What's your favorite city to visit?
Ooh, favorite city would probably. Ooh, that's a good one. Oh man, I'd probably have to say I really enjoyed Chicago. Well, last time I went there, it was really, I don't know, something about that city. And New Orleans. It's tied between Chicago and New Orleans. I don't know. You know what? I might just say New Orleans instead of Chicago. Screw Chicago. New Orleans is where it's at. It's got the history, and I love it there. You
heard it here first, Louisiana. A lot of my family's from there too. Down the bayou. I like that.
Yeah.
Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
No. Pineapple on pizza, man. I can't do it.
Strong no. Love it. If you could go to any concert with any artist in history, who are you going to go see?
What?
Yep.
Holy crap, man. Holy much. Honestly, I would love to go see Journey, but with Steve Perry, if he was still the lead singer. That'd be awesome.
Love it. And final question for you here, Tyler. If you could put a message on a billboard that would reach millions and millions and millions of fathers, what would you put on that billboard?
Keep going. You're doing great. Simple. Just, keep going. You're doing great.
Thank you, Tyler. I love that. Thank you so much for being on the Awesome Dad Show. I really appreciate you, brother.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.